up, yo? It's Marc with the Fantasy Knockout Fantasy Football Show. Today is Friday, March 24th. You can follow the show on social media at Fantasy Knockout. Make sure to subscribe, whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And let's hit this goal of 1,000 subscribers for YouTube. I'm excited for today's show. It is free agency madness. Which players moved teams? Who stayed put? Let's get into the news.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the news.
News with views. All right, so to start it off, we got some trades. So trade alert, the Chicago Bears trade the number 1 pick to the Carolina Panthers for pick number 9 and a second round pick this year, a first in 2024 and a second in 2025, plus wide receiver DJ Moore. DJ Moore is no longer in Carolina. He's with Chicago. I like this move. Fantasy-wise, I think Moore will probably be about the same. He'll probably put up similar fantasy stats. I don't see Fields throwing a lot of touchdowns this year. We'll get more into the breakdown more in another episode in the future about the Panthers in the NFC South breakdown. Another trade alert, the Los Angeles Rams, they trade defensive back Jalen Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins for a 2023 third-round pick and tight end Hunter Long. Another trade is the New England Patriots have traded Jonnu Smith, the tight end, to the Atlanta Falcons for a 7th-round pick. And then the Las Vegas Raiders, they traded tight end Darren Waller to the New York Giants for a 3rd-round pick. So Waller's going to be now the probably primary pass catcher in New York with Daniel Jones. The Houston Texans, they traded wide receiver Brandon Cooks to the Dallas Cowboys for a 5th and a 6th-round pick. Kudos to the Dallas Cowboys. They finally got a solid number 2 receiver there to help out CeeDee Lamb. And then another trade, the New York Jets, they traded wide receiver Elijah Moore and a 3rd-round pick to the Cleveland Browns for a 2nd-round pick. The Jets are moving pieces so they can try to land Aaron Rodgers. He has not been traded yet to the Jets, but that's what the rumors are saying. All right, some other news. Running back Dalvin Cook from Minnesota. The reports say multiple teams believe the Vikings have had trade talks centered around moving Cook. This is interesting because Dalvin's recent shoulder surgery. I'm sure that's kind of complicating things about when he'll be back and available and stuff like that. Also, Minnesota is keeping Alexander Mattison. We'll talk about that later in the show. Wide receiver Courtland Sutton from the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are looking to trade a receiver, and they've had, quote, talks. Sutton, Judy, and KJ Hamler, all those names were available. But it looks like Sutton's probably going to be the most likely one to be dealt. We'll see what happens in the future. Running back Austin Eckler from the Chargers. He is requesting permission to seek a trade after contract extensions talks fell through, and the Chargers have granted him permission to seek a trade. I don't think he's going to be able to find a suitor. The Chargers typically don't pay their running backs. Eckler has produced like a monster the last 2 years. He deserves it, in my opinion. Problem is, this is not the year for running backs. There was a bunch in free agency available. There's a bunch available in the draft that are just as good. So I don't know if Eckler will get the money he deserves and he wants. And then running back Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys. He's been released. He's no longer a Cowboy. He's going to get the designated, I think, post-June 1 release. So that's going to free up like $10 million in cap space for the Cowboys. So Zeke has narrowed his options down to 3 teams. He wants to play for the Eagles, the Jets, or the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll see if they want him to play there as well. And then wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins from Arizona. Reports say the Patriots have called about the availability of Hopkins and Jerry Jeudy as well. So it looks like the Patriots are looking for a number 1 receiver. But the 2 teams that are rumored for Hopkins are the Bills and the Chiefs. We'll see where he ends up. And then wide receiver Jerry Jeudy from Denver. Reports say the Broncos want at least a 1st-round pick for Jeudy. So if he's dealt, that's what they're looking for. Then running back Joe Mixon from Cincinnati. Reports say no charges have been filed in the alleged shooting in Mixon's neighborhood. And Mixon has not been listed as a suspect. So that's good news for him. But he is still very likely to be a cap casualty for the Bengals this year. And then tight end Foster Moreau. He is a free agent. he announced that he has been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma and will be stepping away from football. I think he was visiting the Saints and they did one of those the physicals and they discovered this. So granted, I mean that's awesome news that they caught this. It sucks that he's going to have to going through this and can't play football, but you guys ready to go into the main event?
Main event.
All right, the main event, free agency madness. Free agency is such a fun time. Let's find out who went where. What upgrades did your team make? And this year, there was more movement than there's been in the past couple of years combined. I know last year was quite a bit, but this year, a lot of movement. So let's talk quarterbacks. So Derek Carr, he is now a New Orleans Saint. He signed a 4-year, $150 million deal. Like that, I think he's going to be pretty much the same as he was in Vegas as a Saint. So not much fantasy is going to change there. Geno Smith, he stays with the Seattle Seahawks. He's got a 3-year, $75 million deal. Good job, Geno. Hopefully he can do more of the same of what he did last year, and we can use him as a streamer. Daniel Jones with the New York Giants. He signs there, I think, days before the franchise tag deadline was, and I think he got 4 years, $160 million. So Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback for the Giants going forward. And then Lamar Jackson, he got franchise tagged with the Baltimore Ravens. It's not looking good. So he got tendered. Basically, other teams can negotiate an offer and they have to give up 2 first-round picks for him. But the Ravens have that chance to match. So we'll see what Baltimore does. Right now, it's in limbo until Lamar figures out a deal with a team. So Jimmy Garoppolo, he is a Las Vegas Raider. He signed a 3-year, $72 million deal. Imagine he'll probably be very similar to what Derek Carr did fantasy-wise in Vegas. So we'll see what Jimmy can do. Mike White, he is no longer a Jet. He is now a Miami Dolphin. Mike signed a 2-year deal worth $16 million. He's going to back up Tua. And that's, in my opinion, that's pretty good. A good job for Mike. So Tua's been injury prone this last year with all those concussions. So Mike might get some playing time there. Sam Darnold, he signs with the San Francisco 49ers. He's got a 1-year, $4.5 million deal. He'll be a backup there, maybe a starter a week or two. We'll see. Marcus Mariota, he signs with the Philadelphia Eagles for a 1-year, $5 million deal. I like that one a lot. He fits the same, very similar style of Jalen Hurts, so as they don't really have to change much offensively if something happens there. Jameis Winston, he re-signs with the New Orleans Saints to a 1-year, $8 million deal. He'll back up Carr. Jacoby Brissett, he signs with the Washington Commanders to a 1-year, $10 million deal. I think he's going to compete with Sam Howell, so we'll see who emerges there. Baker Mayfield, he signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a 1-year, $8.5 million deal. So he's going to be probably the guy there in Tampa. Andy Dalton, he signs with the Carolina Panthers, a 2-year, $10 million backup deal. Gardner Minshew, he signs with the Indianapolis Colts, 1-year, $3.5 million deal. He might compete for the starting job there. So we could be seeing Gardner Minshew this year. Taylor Heineke, he signed with the Atlanta Falcons to a 2-year, $14 million deal. Aaron Rodgers is not been traded yet, so he's still technically a Green Bay Packer. We're waiting on that news. And then Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz are still free agents. Nobody has signed them yet. Let's talk some running backs. All right, so Josh Jacobs, he got franchise tagged. He's staying with the Las Vegas Raiders for a 1-year, $10 million deal. Tony Pollard and Saquon Barkley both got franchise tagged as well. Same thing, 1-year, $10 million. So Pollard's with the Cowboys. Barkley's still with the Giants. Deontay Foreman, he was formerly with the Carolina Panthers. He is now a Chicago Bear. He signed a 1-year, $3 million deal. And then Miles Sanders, he's now with the Carolina Panthers, no longer with the Eagles. So he signed a 4-year, $25 million deal. I secretly like this. Foreman did really well last year towards down the last half of the season. I think Sanders, without Hurts vulturing his, goal line touchdowns, I think Sanders could be one of those underrated fantasy running backs this year. So we'll see how it plays out and the hype builds or doesn't build. So I like Sanders going forward as of now. David Montgomery, former Chicago Bears, he's now with the Detroit Lions. He signed a 3-year, $18 million deal. I like Montgomery there. I think they will use him very similar to what they did with Jamal Williams. And speaking of Jamal Williams, he's now a New Orleans Saint. He signed a 3-year, $12 million deal. So he's going to go down there and split time with Alvin Kamara, and probably with Kamara's suspension, maybe get the nod the first half of the season. Rashad Penny, I like this one a lot. He signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to take over Miles Sanders' role. He got a 2-year, $77.6 million deal. So Penny could be sneaky good this year. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, they both stay with the Miami Dolphins, both 2-year deals. So more of the same there with Miami. Matt Breida signs with the New York Giants, 1-year, $2.3 million deal to back up Saquon. Samaje Perine, he's no longer a Cincinnati Bengal. He's with the Denver Broncos, 2-year, $7.5 million there. I imagine Denver will probably draft someone as well. And Javonte Williams is still recovering. Boston Scott, he stays with the Eagles. He re-signs a 1-year, $2 million deal. Chase Edmonds goes to Tampa Bay. He signs a 1-year, $1 million deal. And they also, the Bucks, release Leonard Fournette, so he is no longer there. Travis Homer signs with the Chicago Bears for a 2-year, $4.5 million deal. I think that's just depth move there. James Robinson signs with the New England Patriots to a 2-year, $8 million deal. I think he's going to take over the Damian Harris role. I expect Stevenson to get a bigger workload, and then James being the filling in guy there. Alexander Madison, he re-signs with the Minnesota Vikings to a 2-year, $8 million deal, or $7 million deal. So Madison's going to be the guy there. Cook is still on the books, but they are, like we talked earlier, they're rumored to possibly getting out and trading him. So next is Devin Singletary. He signs with the Houston Texans. He's out of Buffalo. He signed a 1-year, $3.75 million deal. And then next is Damian Harris. He signs with the Buffalo Bills to a 1-year deal. I like that move there. He's more of a thumper for them. So him and James Cook are going to split there in Buffalo. Then Dearness Johnson, formerly of the Cleveland Browns, he signs with the Jacksonville Jaguars to a 1-year deal. Ronald Jones signs a 1-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys. And then we still have some guys that are unsigned right now. So Kareem Hunt, he's still available. Ezekiel Elliott's still available. Kenyon Drake, Jerick McKinnon, Leonard Fournette, and J.D. McKissick, they're still free agents. We'll keep you guys up to date with the news there. Let's talk some wideouts. All right, some wide receivers. DJ Moore got traded to the Chicago Bears. I like this a lot. Hopefully that helps unlock him even more. Jacoby Myers he signed with the Las Vegas Raiders to a 3-year, $33 million deal. So he'll be the number 2 there in Vegas, reuniting with Josh McDaniels. Juju Smith-Schuster is no longer a Chief. He is with the New England Patriots. He signed a 3-year, $25 million deal. So Juju will be the guy there in New England. Robert Woods signs with the Houston Texans to a 2-year, $15 million deal. Good job, Robert. We'll see. I don't think he'll be fantasy relevant this year, but, kudos to him. Alan Lazard, he signed with the New York Jets to a 4-year, $44 million deal. I think that's the Jets really trying to entice Rodgers there. We'll see. We can't make any decisions because we don't know what quarterback's going to be there yet, but when we do, we'll talk about that. Philip Dorsett, he signs with the Las Vegas Raiders to a 1-year deal. Just depth move. Darius Slayton, he re-signs with the New York Giants to a 2-year, $12 million deal. Deontay Hardy, formerly of the New Orleans Saints, he is now with the Buffalo Bills, 2 years, $13 million deal. Paris Campbell, he's a New York Giant, 1-year deal. Sterling Shepard re-signs with the Giants to another 1-year deal. Michael Thomas stays in New Orleans. He's got another 1-year, $10 million deal there. So that's good news. That'll help Carr out a lot there. Braxton Berrios, he's moving down to Miami for a 1-year deal. These are just depth pieces right now. Adam Thielen, he goes and signs with the Carolina Panthers to a 3-year, $25 million deal. He's going to try to be the number 1 guy there. Brandon Cooks, he got traded and then he restructured his deal. He's with the Dallas Cowboys. I like that one a lot too. Mac Hollins was with the Atlanta Falcons to a 1-year deal. McCole Hardman, he signs with the Jets for a 1-year deal. I think he's still recovering from, I believe it was an ACL. I don't remember off the top of my head. Isaiah McKenzie is no longer a Bill. He is now an Indianapolis Colt for a 1-year deal. Elijah Moore, he got traded to the Cleveland Browns, so we'll see how he does there with Deshaun. Let's see who else. Zach Pascal's with the Arizona Cardinals, 2-year deal. Okay. Again, these are going to be just roster depth pieces. Nothing that you got to worry about fantasy wise, but all of a sudden you'll start playing the season. You'll be like, wait, when did this happen? When did this happen? So that's why we're going over this. Cam Sims, he signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. Keelan Cole signs with the Raiders. DJ Chark, he signs with the Panthers. I like that move. He's got a 1-year deal there. Nelson Aguilar, he goes to Baltimore for a 1-year deal. Jamison Crowder goes to the Giants for a 1-year deal. And pretty much the only one left is Odell Beckham Jr. He's still a free agent, but I imagine he'll be signing with a team soon. And then there's talks about DeAndre Hopkins being traded as well. All right, let's talk some tight ends. So Evan Ingram, he re-signs with the Jacksonville Jaguars, franchise tagged 1 year for $11 million. That's good. He started building a great rapport with Trevor Lawrence at the end of the season. Mike Gesicki, formerly of the Dolphins, now a New England Patriot, Gesicki got a 1-year, $9 million deal. Juan Johnson is going to stay with New Orleans, 2-year deal, $12 million. Good for him. Hayden Hurst is now with a Carolina Panther. He got a 3-year deal, $21 million. Robert Tonyan signs with the Chicago Bears on a 1-year deal. We talked about Darren Waller being traded to the New York Giants. He'll be the number 1 pass catcher there. Jordan Akins is with the Cleveland Browns for a 2-year deal. Josh Oliver is a Minnesota Viking. He got 3 years, $21 million. Austin Hooper is a Las Vegas Raider, 1-year deal, like $3 million. Dalton Schultz, he signs with the Houston Texans to a 1-year, $9 million deal there. And then OJ Howard, he also signs with the Las Vegas Raiders for a 1-year deal. And the only tight end really that's relevant is Irv Smith, that's still a free agent going forward. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. The next show is going to be just a week of news and views, catching you guys up on what's still going on, the last minute signings that we didn't cover here. And we just want to say thank you for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe whatever platform you're on. Please leave that rating and review. It really helps me out. All right. Till next time. See ya.